Let's do a narrative by numbers today. The Indian mutual fund industry's assets under management stood at 36.59 lakh crore as on 31st August 2021. Over the past 5 years, the industry's AUM has seen a CAGR of 20.6%, and equity-oriented AUM has increased at a CAGR of 25%. Despite the high growth, India's mutual fund AUM to GDP ratio remains significantly low at 15% as compared to the global average of 75%. Similarly, equity AUM to market cap stood at 5% as against a global average of 30%. India's penetration levels by any measure remain considerably lower compared to the other large economies. India has more than 50 crore income tax permanent account numbers, but only 2.2 crore mutual fund investors. This reaffirms the fact that the mutual fund industry in India has the potential to grow exponentially. Digital technologies can play an instrumental role in providing the much needed push to expand across geographies and investor segments. Hello and welcome to ETCIO Leaders Live. I'm Sneha Jha, editor at ETCIO and your host for the session. We're streaming live to you right now on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And I'm very pleased to welcome our guest today, Arpanarghya Saha, who is the Chief Digital Officer of Nippon India Mutual Fund. In a career spanning 19 years, Arpan has worked across diverse industries ranging from e-commerce, BFSI to retail. He has worked with Citigroup, Standard Chartered Bank, American Express, Max Life Insurance Company, and Snapdeal. The last 13 years of his career have been specifically in digital business and transformation mandates in financial services and e-commerce startups. At Nippon India Mutual Fund, Arpan's role cuts across all functions in the organization, ranging from business, marketing, technology, and operations. Good afternoon, Arpan. Welcome to ETCIO Leaders Live. It's so nice to have you join me today.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me over here. It's a pleasure being here and being able to do this for so many viewers all across. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, Arpan. Arpan, your forte lies in leading change and making it stick. At Nippon India Mutual Fund, you're building digital channels for investor acquisition and engagement. The core of your digital philosophy is friendly, frictionless, and futuristic customer engagement. You're also responsible for developing deeper integrations and stronger alliances with digital distribution partners to drive greater penetration and digital inclusion across the real Bharat. So I thought I'd talk to you about the ways in which technology can help the mutual fund industry unleash its growth potential. Now, digital technologies have become the mainstay of the mutual fund industry. At Nippon India Mutual Fund, how are you leveraging digital technologies across all your processes like fund management, which is the most important part of your business, the execution of transactions, operations, distribution, and customer service?
Thank you. Thank you for this question, and I think it's a very important question. Before I get into details, let me first set the context by saying any organization which has to get into digital transformation across industries has to first start building a digital culture. At Nippon India Mutual Fund, we started with that. Me and my colleagues and our teams all across, we started thinking on three simple vertex. One was customer first thinking, right? Second was getting into a paradigm which was future ready. And third was always asking the most important question to ourselves: what's the ROI. What's the ROI, right? So once this comes in, then you're able to prioritize, you're able to get the best for your customer. We went one step ahead at Nippon, and we created a team called a Digitech team. This team cuts across various departments of our organization, bringing it together. So now we are all in one boat, all chasing one cause, which is to uncomplicate life for our consumers all across.
Right.
In our digital transformation, we have four major verticals at Nippon India Mutual Fund: user growth, digital distribution, platforms and products, and solutions and service. Uh, take these as the four wheels that has to run the Ferrari, right? Equally fast on Indian roads. Uh,
Right.
so that's how we build this thing up. Today, Nippon India Mutual Fund is searched at least 20 times per minute. That's the kind of search that our brand and our digital prowess has been able to generate. And it doesn't stop there. Every 10 seconds, there is one purchase happening at our site across our digital ecosystem. So every 10 seconds, there is a consumer coming in and who's doing a purchase. 65% of our consumers tentatively are serviced using our online chassis.
Mhm.
And that means the era of self-serve is over here, and it has become the choice. Consumers want to be served, but they decide how and when to be served, right? By the clicks of buttons. And 60% of our purchase transaction comes in through our digital ecosystem. Another 30% comes in through industry e-exchanges, making it 90% of our transactions are paperless and electronic. That's the organization that we have been able to build and building, which is a completely digital and tech oriented organization. What we did was, to address all these separate vectors, right? We, from transactions to fund management, we brought in real-time intelligence. So I'll give you some examples. So real-time help and interventions if users are stuck in the journey. Gone are the days when you would drop away from the journey and then try to reach out for help. There are real-time interventions which come in, failure prevention. How do we ensure that the payment retry happens right on the spot? What happens if someone drops off? If there is a power failure in the house, when he switches it on again, there is a link ready with whatever he has filled in. Everything is saved, and you can make the life of the consumer easier. And of course, nudges and interventions across the assets, across their handheld devices, whenever they log in, to give them the right information that can help them to take the right decisions. We built a digital operation center of excellence. And let me go back now a few years when there were piles and piles and piles of paperwork. And we said, let's save the planet, right? Let's
Right.
make this entire thing paperless. Today, our digital operation center of excellence is end-to-end and paperless. There is a digital process, you name it: onboarding, folio creation, transaction processing, payment processing, settlement, CRM automation, everything is happening paperless. We believed having good things in the house is great, but it's important to also wander out and let people know that you have it. So we built a strong digital distribution chassis. For our mutual fund distributors, right, especially in the times of COVID, when the so-called feet on street for us became fingers on screen, we got out an app called Business Easy, which is one of the most renowned and celebrated apps across the mutual fund industry for our mutual fund partners, which by itself is a digital branch. So with that, you don't have to go and meet consumers. You can sit, talk to the consumers over your handheld device, use that same app to service them, help them purchase, help them service, whatever you want. We built a plug and play API suite for swift integration with various fintech players to drive an omni-channel experience for our various customer conclaves. We personally believe that your experience has to be perfect. There has to be a panache inside the experience for your consumers to understand that you are on a Nippon digital ecosystem. And that's what we exactly did. People talked about customer service. We said, hey, we call it e-concierge, right? You know, customers want to serve themselves, but what we can be the e-concierge standing out there, being there for anything that they might need over and above. So intelligent bots on assets for first level interaction, queue management, real-time resolution, you name it, the works, right? E-help desk across applications, very similar to the new age apps which have come in, where you don't have to call up a call center. You know, you have a help desk section where you go and you get served on your own, right? And express resolution matrix internally for digital, since such investors interact here and now. So we believe business at the speed of thought, said by Bill Gates many years ago. And in this digital age, no other line could better fit this. Now, digital experiences have become core for the fintech industry. The e-consumer has changing requirements, and rightfully, and therefore higher benchmarks in close proximity, right? Thus, an intelligent digital transformation program put in place at the right time has helped Nippon India Mutual Fund to stay ahead in the BFSI industry.
Right. So, Arpan, you said that you also provide your customers with nudges to make the right decision. So, if a customer is invested in something, if the customer is over invested in something, do you help them take a prudent decision while they are on your application interface, your mobile application or the website, to help them? Do you give them nudges like real time alerts and redemptions? Like, say, if the in terms of nav, and do you help them with folio creation and transaction processing in a better way using these nudges?
Absolutely. In fact, a consumer who has availed of our mobile application or has come to our website, we not only give him nudges, but we also ensure that we understand what kind of content he's reading. And therefore, based upon the content, allows us to know what would be his interest area. We believe our business is in the business of helping people make wealth, right? So somewhere we are the kind of e-genies, okay, without the Aladdin, but with the magic lamp, right? In terms of notification and nudges, in terms of real-time updates on what is happening and what could happen in the market, right? I think we put across a plethora of information to the consumer, where it is very easy to consume that information and the consumer can take relevant actionables. And we make the actionable part, which is transaction or switch, in so-called, right, very easy and very lucid. You don't have to go ahead and reinvent the wheel for that. I think that's where Nippon stands out in the mutual fund industry on the digital platforms.
Right. Now, Arpan, in the mutual fund industry, we are at a mid-growth stage in India. While there is a large segment of consumers who are inclined towards investing in mutual funds, a sizable part of our population is not yet covered by the mutual fund industry. And digital can play a very key role here in expanding to different geographies and demographies. How do you see digital increasing the penetration of mutual fund industry, not just in the T30 cities, but also in the B30 peers?
Thank you. Uh, Let me start out by saying India and we, the 1.3 billion people spread across numerous states, cultures, and languages, has first been the global example of diversity. We have also been the fastest adapters. From e-chopals in the 90s to e-commerce or be it the landline phone to feature phone to smartphones.
Smartphone.
I think this self-learning attribute that Indians have is one of the biggest and noticeable factors across the world. These ecosystem shifts and fast adoption by the Indians have made way for inclusion. And the fast-paced digital ecosystem and its relevant adoption in BFSI is doing the same for mutual fund industry. And we at Nippon India Mutual Fund has been at the zenith for both adoption and innovation to transform customer and service experience with just one focus, which is inclusion, inclusion, and inclusion. And thus, our focus across T30 and B30 cities is absolutely prime. Now, let me give you some trends, right? Here are a few top trends that is already working in the B30 locations where we are already there, right? And let's see how the digital trends are picking up over there. India is going through something which is known as the smartphone crowding. 600 plus million smartphones now available from a price of $20. It has given the Indian a lot of power in its palm. We at Nippon believe that we are a mobile first company. We also believe that we should embed in the platform of choice. Now, what is a platform of choice? It is, let me give you an analogy over here, Instagram for the cities and Facebook for the B30 towns, right? So you need to, if you really need to reach out to the B30 consumers, you need to understand which platforms they are, and therefore, wherever they are, as a wealth tech company, we need to be there embedded. Third, vernacular coupled with voice. We break the language barrier by using vernacular, and we break the fat finger syndrome, as I call it, on a 5-inch screen.
Correct.
By giving voice. Just think about it. You are on your bicycle, right? And you talk to your handheld device, and you can do a mutual fund investment.
Right.
Going ahead, you talk in vernacular, that also happens. That's the way at Nippon India Mutual Fund, we are working on our digital transformation aspects where we don't want to do good things. We want to do the best things which can bring in the word fantastic from the mouth of the consumer, especially in the B30 locations.
Right.
And of course, we believe in digital first, easy and lucid financial solutions. But for example, we don't want to talk about a great complicated fund name which neither me nor the consumers would understand if you're not an if you have not done some great work in economics, right? However, if you can go to them with simple goals crafted according to their lifestyle, that's when the consumer says, hey, this makes sense. I want to say this very loud and clear. As I speak to you now, 50% of our digital SIPs are from B30 towns, right? I think that's the kind of adoption and execution that we have been able to do across the company with the help of all colleagues in this organization to have the Nippon India Mutual Fund digital flag flying very high out there. And Nippon India's mutual funds digital's primary vision is to uncomplicate. And this, along with the right digital execution, has made way for e-adoption for the B30, and this is what we are going to focus on and work on.
Right. So, Arpan, like you mentioned, you're simplifying the financial platform, distributing it on the mobile medium, and then adding a human element to the mobile platform with voice, right? And that is a great recipe for better penetration and inclusion of the markets that remain underpenetrated. Now, a mutual fund can do for you what you would do for yourself if you had the sufficient time and training and money to diversify, the attitude of standing back from your money and making rational decisions. So mutual funds were created to make investing easy, so the customers wouldn't have to be burdened with picking individual stocks. And it also gives people a sense that they are really not at a disadvantage in entering the stock market. So there's a sense of accountability in the mutual fund industry. As a knowledge centric, research based AMC, how do you offer tools and advisory mechanisms for your DIY investors to make the right risk free investment choices? How are you leveraging intuitive interfaces and data for efficient risk management of the investment portfolio of your customers?
You know, digital for us is a perpetual beta, and one has to go on pushing the bar or be pushed out of the game. Very simple. I think this is one particular area where everything can be quantified. There is no gray. It's black, white, or purple or red, whatever way, but you can clearly distinct your things out and you can put it on the table. It makes our lives easier, and therefore a lot of myths has become realities. I just spoke about some time back on Nippon India Mutual Fund uh, content being so trusted that we get 17 to 20 searches per minute, right? What does this also mean? This also means that there are digital footprints which are coming on our assets. And what is digital footprints? The conclave, it's the evolution point of data, right? And we have been very keenly observing this space and have got into execution from day zero. When we've understood that there are two people in the room along with us, one is God and the other is data, right? And that's the moment of truth, right, for any organization. Now, with big data all around, our base endeavor has been to convert the same into smart data, right? We don't want the problem of plenty, but we want to be sharp, and we want to actually add value to the consumer or the visitor who has come to us or whom we have gone to. We have a inherent ability in our organization to build intelligent digital platforms. And it's a conclave of UI UX experts, technologists who have come in from outside industries, mainly e-commerce, who are a part of our team, right? So the thought process on building intelligent platforms is never mutual fund centric. When somebody asks me,
So picking up
Arpan,
ideas from other industries and harvesting them in house.
absolutely, because the consumer, my biggest competition would not be a BFSI or a fintech company, right? My biggest competition would be the customer experience that one would have on an Uber app or on the Amazon e-commerce site, right? Because for the consumer, he has to go on a site and he has to buy. It doesn't matter whether it is a mutual fund or whether it's a Apple line phone, right? So that's the kind of intelligence and ability that we have built to build a product and platform, and which is, if you remember, is one of the main vectors of our strategy, right? Uh, and this has led to create a base for machine learning. So while we are learning, we have ensured our machines also start learning. So we were one of the first few organizations in the Asia Pacific region who has taken machine learning very, very seriously. And today, our machines on the screen would actually tell you what to do without even you asking for a solution. And you would probably start thinking about it, and that would be the action that you take before you exit from my site. Thus, data for us is refined and augmented through various instances, be it a data warehouse approach, be it real-time look-alike automations. And all of this is funneled both ways through our well-being built and intelligent digital assets. In this entire exercise, what we have embarked upon is building our digital data lake. it is playing the most important and crucial role for us. And for organizations and institutions who are getting into this will be your strong room. Let me put it like this, right? So, constant churning and analysis of data through automated algorithms, which again are directly proportional to changing consumer behavior, right? It's like this: every day you want to travel from point A to point B. It's always not a straight road. Sometimes you want to go through C and D too, and that's changing behavior for us. And that needs to be captured so that we know how will this help the consumer, or how can we make this more, optimized. So we put in various models from time to time, experimenting continuously and breaking those models to build new ones. And that's where digital becomes a perpetual beta. NIMF has been the early implementers of the Adobe suite. And I want to call this out, where our entire digital platforms are stitched up through the Adobe suite. We understand our users with analytics. We communicate to them with Adobe campaigns, right? We engage on the fly with options like Adobe Target, which helps you to be self-serve, which is self-introspecting. You have options in front of you as a consumer. That makes you stick to our asset ecosystem. We are one of the first few organizations, again, in APAC, to have real-time updates. Notifications, we were talking about notifications some time back.
Correct.
This is notifications in sync with market, economic, demographic, political, global scenario. Think about it.
So if I
Okay.
want to redeem on, if I'm going to redeem in a day when the NAV is down, you will tell me that you shouldn't redeem today, otherwise you will enter into a loss. Is that the kind of
No,
thing?
I'm going to tell you, you should buy more today,
Right.
right? Because you get more bang on your buck. And I think, many of us, including me, because I came in from an e-commerce, retail organization with no background of mutual funds. And I had never invested in mutual funds. So, of course, you don't understand this. And that's exactly the generation which is now there. They're all getting into new things. So, when they get into new things, we have to uncomplicate by telling them what's the real story. And that's it. People,
Don't
India,
sell, buy, and things like that. Intelligent
yes,
nudges that we were discussing
yes,
earlier.
intelligent nudges, and people will stick on to this. So the real-time updates are probably one of the biggest innovations that we have done this year itself, and it has started off in a big way. We see huge uptake on this, and all these signals now, whatever we are getting from each individual consumer, be it a campaign, be it analytics, be it real-time update reaction, are again funneled back to a digital entity, through a digital entity to our business systems and processes, and the model goes on building. So for this, I have a lovely line which I always say: the beginning is the end, is the beginning is the end, is the beginning is the end. So there is no end to digital, and therefore it is completely perpetual.
Correct. Interesting, Arpan. So you spoke about churning data from customers and using it for propensity models, giving intelligent nudges, and all of this goes into creating an intelligent entity, a data entity that has channels for information, and then all of that information goes back into creating a more informed system. Now, to thrive in the digital age, every industry has to cater to the requirements and behavioral patterns of its millennial customers. And since you've worked with e-commerce companies, you know this really well. Now, as the mutual fund industry undergoes a digital evolution to cater to the millennials and Gen Z customers, how do you leverage digital ecosystem to create better value propositions, to launch innovative products, and customer service initiatives to increase the value to this set of investors?
Yes, and the millennial segment and the Generation Z are our biggest teachers. And if they are there, and most of them that would be watching this show would come from that background. So I would want to thank you all for being our biggest teachers, because they have taught us things which we never used to look at one point of time. Nippon India Mutual Fund, uh, we have a sermon that we preach and follow, right? We call it the three F's, which you're aware of. Uh, be friendly, be futuristic, and be frictionless. And somewhere, if you see this, these are the three prime uh, asks and attributes for the Generation Z and the millennial segment, right?
Correct.
This keeps us grounded, especially at a time where 50% plus visits to our digital assets are done by millennials, right? So our experience has been designed in a way that it can be compared with the ease of be it ordering food online or easily checking out at an e-commerce site or hailing a cab on a handheld device, right? And that is why Nippon has been the first choice, the prime choice. I'm restricting myself from saying only, but it's the prime choice for this particular segment, and it's going to be. What are we doing for them, and what have we done for them that has made this, possible, right? We have let me give you an example of our investor app, which we have reinvented now, and the entire experience has been fashioned keeping in mind the millennials and Generation Z. So it has things like a cart buy, persona based reco and nudges, you know purchasing for the future, date
So
calendar.
basically, you're trying not to act as a traditional mutual fund company, but like an e-commerce company that has a boutique of financial products, right?
Yeah, frankly, in our organization, and thanks to the vision of my CEO and the respected board, we have always been the best of a asset management company, and having the vision and having the vision of a new age fintech company. And this is a lovely blend. It's a cappuccino, it's a lovely blend, and that goes very well with the times that we have seen now, right? And we make user journeys which are focused and completely outside rather than inside out, right? So we don't make journeys of consumer thinking that they will have to buy a fund. The consumer helps us create the dream flows on our platforms and on our products, and the way it would like to see the service, and the way it would like to get the service. And that has been the crux of creating our digital ecosystem, right? Especially when we start off with doing something, we have a pun we go and approach a panel of youngsters, okay, who have never invested in mutual funds, okay, to tell us why they have never invested and what would make them invest using digital platforms. And they become a part of our design methodology and product and platform strategy, right? And that's the kind of transformic thinking that Nippon India Mutual Fund does, exactly in lines with the top-notch e-commerce players across the world, right? So a simple way, we make this happen with our principal come alternate data stacks coupled on intelligent platforms. And that's how the millennial and Generation Z segment sticks with us. What we are also planning to do now, we are moving into Internet of Things as the next hub for Generation Z, right? We've already started off with voice, where you can now ride you can now ride your car without even and invest in a mutual fund while going to catch the 8 p.m. movie without typing a single line. I
Like a
think that's the
hands-free
kind of.
digital experience, digital transaction.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's the kind of things that we are doing, and we intend to go on doing such things because we feel that this generation, which has been our biggest teachers, is only going to appreciate this more, and in the process, teach us new things to do.
Right. It's interesting, Arpan, because you're noticing behavioral patterns in your customer segment, and then changing your customer servicing models according to it, and you're embedding your services in the platforms of choice for your customer. Now, the other thing with millennial customers is that, like we discussed, they are digital friendly. They also expect a lot of transparency and greater involvement in planning their investments. Digital has opened up all avenues, and it also provides the ease and access to knowledge, and more importantly, the ability to track their investments with ease. So, how are you leveraging digital channels to provide them the knowledge of the entire product spectrum and the financial avenues?
Yes, so over here, what we really focus on and we believe is that content is king and continuous for this segment. As I mentioned some time back, 50% of our digital consumers are millennials, and NIMF stays as the preferred choice for them in the mutual fund sector. Uh, we bring across a strategy known as C. What is C? C is being able to see, right? SEE. Simplify, engaged, empower, right? That's our execution style, and that's how we build content. We cannot, we don't have the ability to build complicated content, and thank God for that, right? So most of our content is kind of very simple, and to the point, and it doesn't last for more than 15 to 20 seconds. It passes on the message. I think that's stage one. That's what people want. We are not opening up a e-tutorial because that's going to take time, and nobody, including me, wants to study. Okay, that's point one, right? We want to be owners of content which are bite-sized, right? Uh, it's like Facebook Reels running for 15 seconds, passing on the point. It's contextual and crisp, right? It's contextual and crisp. Okay, so on the day the new president of the United States comes into power, there needs to be a contextual 15 seconds educational campaign on how it can help, on how this can affect the market, and what should the 25-year-old or 30-year-old or 32, 35-year-old do. That's it. Very simple, right? And then further interest from the segment leads to leveraging our in-house experts to engage via live sessions, podcasts, etc. So at times people have come back to us and said, hey, no, this was great, now I really want to know more about it. Okay, so we want a session. So we have these 15 to 20-minute podcast sessions, live YouTube sessions. The questions are asked, we build our content on the basis of the questions live there with our in-house experts, and our in-house experts speak the millennial language. I would invite all of you to come and see our podcasts and videos. And of course, I mentioned about real-time on-the-fly notifications about market, right? With a call to action. What does a millennial want? The best part about millennial is M for millennial and M for multitaskers, right? So they're doing many things at the same point of time. They're reading a book, they're swiping their phones, and they are recharging the Netflix subscription. And then comes a notification which tells them the markets are down. This is the good time to buy that XYZ, mutual fund that you've put in your cart. Just say, go ahead and we'll do it. And somebody says, buy, and it's done, right? I think that's the kind of experience that millennials will want. The best way to have the millennium and Generation Z segment happy and sticky across our digital products and platforms is to keep it simple, uncomplicated, and innovative. This is a very, very interesting bunch of people, and they're only growing.
Right. So, Arpan, that's a very dynamic strategy that you have, keeping the millennials in mind, and also generating content for them and to help inform them to make better decisions. Now, sometime back, Nippon India Mutual Fund also partnered with Google to launch APAC's first AI-powered voice-based financial transactions. This is the first ever initiative across the BFSI industry in APAC. What is the kind of traction you're seeing from this initiative, and what's been the impact that you've seen at Nippon India Mutual Fund?
Great. Let's start off with the traction, right? We see a voice interaction happening with us every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes in a country like India, right, where we see all the IT majors now talking about voice. For the last 1.5, 2 years, we've been on voice, and we've been having an interaction every 3 to 5 minutes. And I think this is brilliant.
That's
right?
very impressive.
Yes. And after we launched the SimplySave app with the voice factor embedded, we saw 130,000 downloads of our SimplySave app. And people who would have never probably come and bought a mutual fund, right? Which uh, started playing around with it and getting interested in it and started investing, right?
What percentage
More
of your
than
digital transactions come from the app?
10% of these transactions
Mhm.
are driven through voice on this app.
Okay.
And that's the game, right? That's the game, and the way we are working on this, and Google for us has been the first partner where we shook hands and we said, we wanted to really, use Google Assistant and the algorithm to build something for inclusion in the BFSI sector. The team from Google Cloud, the team from Nippon India Mutual Fund got together and we built something that is unique in the industry and is a case study globally.
Right. Now, the other important and path-breaking initiative that you led at Nippon India Mutual Fund was um, being an early mover in allowing your investors to invest through WhatsApp. What's the kind of the response you're getting from your customers? How do you see them latching onto this platform? Because WhatsApp investing it's so convenient. It's a part of our lives now. So, are you seeing good traction from customers on that segment as well?
I sometime back, in our
And also,
conversation,
how do you see that propelling growth in the T30 and B30 cities? How do
sure,
you see that segment?
sure. Sometime back, we spoke about the platforms of choice, right? And I believe in digital there is a Darwin's evolution, right? Which man has undergone many millions of years ago, but in digital it's starting off, right? Uh, WhatsApp, as I speak to you today, is the platform of choice for every, be it B30 or be it T30 towns, right? That's the place where you hang out with your friends. Let your mother know that you're not coming tonight because you're studying late, right? That's the place. That's the place where people and especially the youth are. So we identified and figured this out very first, and along WhatsApp invited us to be one of the first business test case for this country in the financial sector, and there was no looking back after that. So today, Nippon India Mutual Fund has a WhatsApp handle which just does not say hello and good morning, but over there you can go and transact. You can invest your pocket money into our liquid funds, right? And it's being enabled with an UPI and a banking node has further made it the transaction preference platform for consumers, both young and tenured. And I personally feel, on your question on B30 towns, uh, WhatsApp enabled with UPI and vernacular, right? Ignoring the fat fingers syndrome would become the most preferred platform in the times to come for financial transactions or giving a standing instruction or even at e-commerce, right? That's where the play is going to be. What we need to be careful, however, is how can we have a very secured and encrypted environment so that data can be handled very, very carefully across such platforms. So while we are very energetic about it, we at Nippon India Mutual Fund on digital security have been investing quite a lot, and we ensure that each and every process of ours is properly verified, tested before it is out there in the market. And that's how we are able to bring out one of the best digital offerings for our consumers.
What are some of the security investments that you've made to ensure that your platforms are safe and secure?
I think what we have put in place is a completely our firewalls which have come in and ensured encryption being there across any internal or external communication that we do. And of course, our data storage centers, which are state of the art, which where we ensure that each and every data is more important to us than currency. Let me put it like this, right? And that's the strong room concept I talked about some time back, where while we augment and research on the data is handled very, very carefully. We have a partner like Adobe, where we use an Adobe secured platform to reach out to the right customer with the right campaign. I think that's the kind of compliance that we at Nippon India Mutual Fund we do, along with the technology team and the risk management team out here, which is great.
Right. Arpan, what are some of the key priorities that you have over the next 1 year? What are some of the key trends that that are finding their way into your roadmap? What are some of the accomplishments that you are looking at driving for Nippon India Mutual Funds over the next 1 year?
I think the way at Nippon India Mutual Fund, the way the digital office, guided by our CEO and our board, the way we look at things, uh, we look at a 6 months approach on on what to do and how to take things ahead. We also follow a philosophy known as fail fast, right? Uh, while fail was a very jargon word during our school days, but I think it's one of the primary gurus of digital, where you need to do things, you need to try it out, but if you see that the execution is not happening, right, get out of it then and there, right, so that you can do other things. And business has to move at the speed of thought. Saying that, and I'm going to say this again, NIMF is more than a mutual fund and an asset management company. With a rigorous digital transformation exercise put in place for 4 years, right, and still underway, we have evolved as a new age fintech and life tech enterprise, connecting millions of consumers, youngsters to wealth creation opportunities seamlessly. I think if you have to just that's the way we as an organization describe ourselves. The next three big things which we will go on working on, while we'll try out many others, right, and some we'll have in our sleeves which we'll not talk about, is we'll go betting big on vernacular, expanding reach in the untapped real Bharat, and that's going to be your B30 arena. Yeah, that's where we're going to be. We have already invested and are investing and working heavily on artificial intelligence and machine learning, which will help us higher retention and acquisitions across our digital assets and our application interfaces. And of course, we are going to work on the Internet of Things, expansion of voice to assistance as a stepping stone to the connected world. That's what we are going to do. Those are our three top big bets, and we will go on working on them and making them stronger, because that's where the future lies.
Right. What are some of the trends that you are seeing in the mutual fund industry? How do you see digital driving this change? Apart from all the digital technologies that we've talked about, where do you see technology having a bigger impact when it comes to inclusion and increasing penetration? While we've discussed this in the course of our conversation, but what are some of
Sure.
the new ways where you see it having an impact?
Yeah. So lovely question. I think the best part about this is that today, if you see people who were walking to a service center, right? Be it a mutual fund, be it a bank, be it a retail cafe joint, right? Have got the option of finishing their jobs on a click. The pandemic further brought in, and regulations were brought in, that we were not allowed to venture out of our houses. But life had to go on, right? Life had to go on. And India being India and its people being the fastest adapters, took advantage of this. People who were not using digital moved into digital. They allied their fears on security. They understood that this is a safe medium to be in. The debit cards came out of the lockers, okay, and they understood that nobody is, there are certain steps that we need to follow to keep our finances safe on the online medium. And e-commerce went boom, right? And most of the business for the e-commerce industry, and when I say e-commerce, let me also talk about fintechs, came
Mhm.
in from the B30 towns. If you talk about retail e-commerce, people started saying, hey, I'm now going to park my feature phone and I'm going to talk to my cousin so that she can order a smartphone for me for 1,200 rupees so that I can get into, ordering great food or vegetables, or groceries which can come to my home. I don't want to go out, right? That's probably changed the way people started thinking. Let me cite a quick example. In 2015, right, we had 400 million, 380 million to 400 million internet users in this country, right? And the e-commerce users in this country were less than 30 million, right? Uh, when I say e-commerce, are people who are doing a transaction. Today, we have close to 500 million plus people doing e-commerce transactions on the internet, and that's how the entire ecosystem has evolved in a very, very big way. So this is about the country creating an ecosystem and the citizens of that country being able to adopt to that ecosystem. And I think that's exactly what has happened. And by the way, we are still a 4G country. Wait and watch this space when you see it becomes a 7G country soon.
Yes, let's first have 5G first. But Arpan, thank you so much. It's been absolutely delightful talking to you today, and thank you for giving us a peek into your innovation war room, where you come up with all of these frictionless, friendly, and futuristic, innovations for your customers. Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you. And also, thanks for sharing all of this information with our viewers. And we really look forward to some very innovative solutions from Nippon India Mutual Funds. Our expectations are so raised now after this conversation.
Absolutely. And thank you again for having me here. And thanks to all the viewers who are there on this platform right now. Look forward to bring in more innovative features from Nippon India Mutual Fund, and wish all of you all the very, very best. Take care, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Arpan. A big thank you for all of you for tuning in today. We'll be back next Thursday with another interesting episode of ETCIO Leaders Live. Follow us on social media to find out who's our guest for the next week. Until next time, this is Sneha Jha signing off.